Hello YouTube, this cool thing is called a Feejee Mermaid. If you haven't come across these before, they're really cool kind of hoaxes that were done many years ago. And usually they would be done using a real monkey skull. This one wasn't, this was done using paper mache to make the head. But yeah, quite often they would use a real monkey skull and then they would use like the tail of a real fish and then other kind of animal body parts to make it up. This one, as you can see in the little diagrams there, has got quite a lot of wood inside it. There's some clay, there's wire, and then they've used actual bony fins from a real fish. And then there's like fabric packing in there as well and paper mache. Now, this actual one that you're seeing on your screen is the one from the Horniman Museum. I think it's their most famous one. And many years ago, it did a tour and it actually came to my local museum, and I was able to look really closely at it. And I kind of fell in love with it. And I decided then and there that I wanted to make some. I'll show you those in a second, but if you just have a look at the top right hand photograph, you can see the Fiji mermaid, but if you look just behind his head, can you see there, weirdly, I've just made one of these as well. It's like a little kind of ivory figure. Obviously, I didn't use ivory, I used milliput, but it's an ivory kind of pregnant woman. And I'll show you that in a second as well. Weirdly, that was like one of the last videos that I've just done. Right, these are the creatures that I made using the techniques of Fiji mermaids. So this one, I'd actually had a small python that had died, and I used the kind of skull from that. So it's got real kind of python teeth and a bit of kind of python skin on the top of its head there. And then I've used some claws from various animals to make, those kind of spikes that go down the back. I actually went to a fishmonger's and I got some actual, fish and skinned it. I used a fish skin to cover the body. This tail was a dried tail from an animal that I found in Australia. Not quite sure what animal it was. And then the legs here are from pheasants, and you can see the legs have got the feet kind of splayed out, and the arms, they look like arms, but they were actually legs of pheasants. They're just kind of positioned differently. So it makes them look more like kind of raptorial arms. Very cool. Obviously, that is not a mermaid, but it is a creature that I've done using similar techniques with actual animal parts. Okay, this one is a mermaid. If you can see the tail there, made a big tail fin. That's just got wires in the tail fin. You can see the ribs there. Again, all done with a sort of wire frame and then kind of paper mache over the top. And then this is a real spine from an animal. I'm not sure what animal it was. Um, but I quite often I find bones and things when I'm walking in woodland, so I just keep them. The arms I made just using wires, and then the head is a replica monkey skull. So I thought that looked pretty cool. And by the way, I haven't painted any of these. I just used brown wax for, like polishing wood and stuff. And I think that works really well. Saved me doing any painting. I just rubbed a whole load of wax into them. Right, so that's kind of my history of making Fiji mermaids so far, but I just wanted to show you that ivory or pretend ivory figure that I've just made. And you can see it's pretty cool. I enjoyed doing it and I'd like to make another one at some point. But yeah, all the sort of anatomical details. What I'd like to do is make one that is a lot smaller, like maybe half the length. But feel free to watch the whole video of how I made that separately. I think I've always loved really weird, unusual objects, the kind of thing that you can find in like the Horniman Museum. And I basically want to add bits and bobs like that into my own personal museum cabinets. Anyway, let's get on with making this Fiji mermaid. So you can see I'm trying to do a kind of replica or a copy as near as I can to the one that I showed you from the Horniman Museum. You can see I started with a wooden base, just drilled a hole in it, put a wooden dowel in there, and then I've built this over the top just using aluminium foil, and there is like a tube inside it as well to make the support stronger for the wooden dowel. But apart from that, it's all aluminium foil. Normally, I build a wire armature using 2mm aluminium wire, but on this one I decided not to, because I did this as my next stage. This, I don't know if you can see it very clearly or not, but this is basically a layer or several layers of kitchen paper and wood flooring PVA glue. The wood flooring PVA glue is really, really tough, and it just makes this kind of skin that you put over your whole creature really, really strong. It's paper mache basically, but don't use kids PVA glue because that won't be very strong at all. You need to get yourself some wood flooring PVA glue. It is so tough. Right, we are ready for the sculpting stage, which is done with MILLIPUT. If you haven't used MILLIPUT before, it's a two-part putty. You mix the two parts together in equal amounts and it sets rock hard at room temperature in about 4 hours. Here's a QR code so you can scan it in and you can get yourself some and give it a go. I'm using silver grey today because it's really good at showing up all of those fine details, but you could just use standard Milliput would be absolutely fine. Okay, so I started by making some hands, and this is how I start the process. I just take a shape like this, cut the 4 slits to make the 5 individual fingers, and then look, you just separate them out like this, and then it's just a case of kind of rounding them off. And then what I do is I kind of leave the milliput for maybe half an hour or something just to stiffen a little bit, and then I start shaping it much better to get things like the claws and some of the knuckles, that sort of thing. Right, this is after doing a lot of milliput sculpting on the actual creature, and you can see I got really carried away and I didn't really show you any of the stages in between. I just basically did it, got him to this stage. Now this took quite a lot of work. Obviously I'm trying to copy from those images, the screenshots I showed you at the beginning, but it's just basically just adding a lot of lumps and shaping them bit at a time. The good thing with milliput is you don't have to mix a whole pack at once. You could just break some off, just make small amounts, and then you could do like say an arm, part of an arm, and then you could, mix some more milliput, make the other part of the arm, make some more, then do like the ribs, and just kind of work your way around. But you can see I've basically just added a very thin skin of milliput over the whole thing and then added extra bits. All of these ribs are just really long sausages, just kind of smoothed in with modeling tools. It was at this point that I thought there's something wrong with the head, it's not right. And what I realised is I need to cut the head off there and I need to reattach it in a different position because the neck joins much closer to the chin on the one that I'm copying from. I kind of don't know how I didn't see that. I guess because I was so kind of keen to get on with it, I was maybe rushing a little bit. But that's okay. We know we can adjust things as we go along if we need to, including sawing bits off and reattaching them. You can see with my hands that I've shaped them quite a bit more. I will go in and I'll sand these down a bit as well. They're quite sort of chubby at the moment. You can sand them, and that's the cool thing with milliput as well. It can be sanded for kind of refinement purposes. Right, let's show you him finished and ready to be painted. Here he is with more milliput stuff done. I've reattached the head in a much better position, much happier now. It's much closer to how it looked in the original photographs. I've attached his hands on. They're looking pretty cool. I did realise, after I paint him, that he needs the kind of tendons that go along the tops of his hand, but I add those actually after I start painting him, and that works out okay as well. You can do that. You can always add to your creature even after you've painted it, believe it or not. Right, the scales, okay, these took quite a long time to do, and that's just all kind of pushing into a thin layer of milliput using a kind of bladed modeling tool. That took quite a while, and the lines on the fins, that kind of thing. There is another small fin that I end up adding after I paint him as well. He is such a unique looking thing and kind of super creepy. And I think this is why, even though I made that previous Feejee Mermaid and that other creature, I was never really satisfied. And for ages, I kind of wondered why. And now I realise it's because I loved the actual one from the Horniman Museum. so much that I wanted that actual one in my collection somehow. And obviously, you're never going to afford a real one, and they should be in museums anyway. But yeah, I wanted one of my own, so I decided I'm going to do it as close as I can get, and then this one can go in my collection. Right, on to the painting stages then. I'm using System 3 acrylic paints to do all of the painting on this. And what I basically started with is a coating over the whole thing of not black, but just a very, very dark brown. So made using emerald green and cadmium red and a little bit of black. And that made a very, very dark brown. And I painted that over the whole thing. So I watered it down a little bit so it would get into all of the deepest kind of cracks, and that worked particularly well. And then I just dry brushed a dark brown, but not quite as dark, over the whole thing. And you can see it's already starting to kind of make some of the details pop. But I've got to use brighter and brighter browns and keep dry brushing it over the top. So always remember, if you really water down your paint, that's particularly good for getting it to go into the deepest cracks and things, getting it everywhere. And then if you want to do all of the kind of upper surfaces, if you dry brush lighter colors usually, you can do it the other way around, but usually lighter colors are dry brushed onto the top. And then you can also use paint really watered down right at the end to do what's called a glaze. And that kind of can join all of your colors together, and it's really quite effective. More on that later. Right, take a look at how much detail is showing up now, and then compare this to this. And can you see a lot more detail shows up? And that's just because I've dry brushed lighter browns over the top. He starts to really kind of pop, and all of those kind of upper surfaces show up a lot more. So if you haven't done dry brushing before, you just take a bit of your paint on a really kind of old scruffy brush. One that's really frayed works particularly well, and you just rub your brush on a bit of kitchen paper until it's so dry, like almost dry. There's hardly any paint kind of coming off the brush at all. And then you just kind of dust it over your upper surfaces, and it makes all of those kind of upper surfaces really kind of show up, and all of the dark, lines and things between the scales, they all still stay dark, and it's just the upper surfaces that get the brightness on them. So I love it when textures show up really well. So the main benefits of using the techniques that I've used in this video, so the paper mache with kitchen paper and PVA glue creates a lot of kind of wrinkles and it looks very like skin. Same with the Milliput. When you use the Milliput, you can either smooth the milliput in really well, so it's like flawlessly smooth. But what I tend to do is sculpt it in quite roughly. Like when I'm joining one bit to another, I leave a lot of kind of rough texture of milliput. And that works so well when you come to do this dry brushing technique. Right, this is my finished Feejee Mermaid, and I'm really pleased with him. Like, I love how he's turned out. I basically did a whole load more dry brushing to brighten it up even more. Then I kind of realised that I'd brightened him maybe a little bit too much, but I wanted to do a kind of a unifying wash anyway. So I took some reddish brown paint, really watered it down, made a very kind of liquid wash, and I just painted that over literally the whole thing, and it sunk down into some of the cracks, and it's just, like I say, unified everything, kind of merged it all together. You can see the tendons that I've done on the tops of the hands. They look really cool. Nice little touch. Blended all that in. You do obviously have to be careful when you're doing a wash over the whole creature, because if you mix your paint too thickly, it can just, paint the whole creature in one color, and you don't see the bright bits anymore, you don't see the dark bits anymore. So it does need to be really quite watery for it to just kind of show up as a hint of color. It's such a quick process to do that you're so much better off just having hardly any paint in the wash at all. And then if it doesn't show up as much as you wanted it to, you can always give it a second coat. Those thin tendons in the hands worked really well, I think. And I just love the way all the muscles showed up and all of the kind of bumpy texture of the milliput and things that I left. It all kind of looks like, you know, bits of kind of sinew and tissue. There's the small fin that I added on the bottom of the tail as well. I think that's really kind of helped tie it in with the fin that's on the top. I used the exact same reddish brown wash to paint the base and the pole, and I think that's made a bit of a difference. It makes it look a bit more kind of antique finish to the base, and I think overall he looks fantastic. So I'll probably end up putting him in a display cabinet. I've realised he might be a little bit tall for my display cabinet, so I might need to shorten the pole a little bit to be able to squeeze him in. But he's looking like he's going to tie in with the rest of my kind of weird curiosities. I've got some pretty weird stuff in there. I mean, I used to keep a lot of reptiles, so if I ever had any that died, I used to just kind of keep them and dry them or get the skeletons from them, that sort of thing. But I've got weird things like a four-legged chick. I've got like a um, alien in formaldehyde. I've got a little kitten in formaldehyde that I got from a car boot sale from an old kind of veterinary practice. I was told that it obviously died of natural causes, which must happen an awful lot at sort of veterinary practices. They'd removed half of its skin so that you could see all the muscle structure and things, and it was a good teaching aid for veterinary students. I've got a conjoined twin skeleton, which is obviously not a real one. Plus, obviously, loads of other weird things as well. And my recent kind of ivory figurine of a pregnant woman with her little baby inside her is pretty cool as well. I have other weird things as well in my freezer out in the shed. Things again like sort of ex-pets because I used to breed so many reptiles, but also I've got a Portuguese man of war jellyfish, which is pretty cool. I also made some replica Roman dodecahedrons, so you can check out that video if you get a chance as well. I feel I need to apologise for the quality of the footage of these last kind of few bits of video on the end, tagged on the end. It's because I tend to do this thing where I'm trying to get a decent image to use in the thumbnail of my video. So these are a little bit wobbly, but I wasn't really fussed about that. I was just trying to find a single frame that would look particularly good to use at the front. So that's why you can see like my TV in the background and that kind of thing. Anyway, if you're a regular to this channel, would you like to see more of this kind of thing? I.e., you know, museum, Cabinet of Curiosity type creatures? Or would you like me to carry on making more movie creatures? Obviously, I've got a big list of movie creatures, so I am going to be making those anyway. But if you want to see more of this kind of stuff, let me know in the comments. Also, I wasn't even aware of the little ivory figurine with the sort of pregnant woman. So, if there are any other kind of weird things you can think of from museums, let me know because it might inspire me to make them. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Do check out my previous videos on weird museum things, but also serious collections like fossils, minerals, seed pods, all that kind of stuff. And also check out my movie creature sculpts if you get a chance as well. Obviously, I've got to say a massive thank you to MILLIPUT for sponsoring this channel. If you haven't tried MILLIPUT before, go out and get yourself some. It is such a cool sculpting material. And obviously hit subscribe to see anything that I do in the future. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.